Here, darling, 4 weddings. Here, Rocky 4, 5, 10.
Excuse me, I bought this video from you last Saturday.
So?
Well, I can't understand a word.
Train spotting? Not surprised. All talking in Scotch, ain't they?
No, I mean, it's the sound.
Yeah.
It's hopeless. It's absolutely hopeless.
Yeah. No trains in it either. I suppose that's my fault as well. Here you are, darling, $4.99.
Well, the picture's rubbish as well.
Well, that's your tracking, mate.
It's all right on my other videos.
Tracking's touchy.
Be careful. Most pirate videos are unwatchable, and there's no comeback.
Got a receipt, eh? Got a receipt?
Look, you said last week.
Said's no good, mate. Oral contract. Not worth the paper it's printed on. Here, darling, 4 weddings. Train spotting. As advertised on Crime Stoppers.
Pirate videos, daylight robbery.
Welcome to Wales and the Vauxhall Rally of Wales, the first of 5 rounds of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship. Ranging from the infamous Kielder Forest for the Pirelli International Rally to Perth and the rough tracks of Scotland for the Scottish Rally. Then on to Northern Ireland for the first of the tarmac rounds, the Ulster. And finally, back across the water for the Manx International Rally. First off, on this year's opening round, the reigning British champion Alistair McRae with David Senior in a Ford Escort Cosworth. McRae drove a similar car on last year's Network Q RAC rally and finished a superb 4th. As part of his game plan to move forward in rallying and hopefully emulate his illustrious brother Colin in the World Championship, Alistair has now forsaken the 2-wheel drive, 2-litre cars, the only ones eligible for championship points. The 511-mile rally is based in Chester and includes 147 miles of special stages, mostly in the forests of North and Central Wales. So which of the works entries in the championship should we be looking out for this year?
Ford have an impressive lineup for Wales. Their drivers tipped to go very well over the next 2 days. Gwyndaf Evans is sure to feel at home. Finland's Jarmo Kutuletto a potential threat to the Welshman. Neil Simpson drives Gwyndaf's old Escort. Stephanie and Rachel Simonite defend their latest title. Challenging for manufacturer's supremacy, Volkswagen hope to give Ford a run for their money. Heading Volkswagen's bid, Finland's Tapio Laukkanen. On his first British visit, another Finn, Jukko Puhakka. And completing the Volkswagen trio, Lincolnshire's Ashley Blenkhorn. They took the limelight in 1995. Nissan are determined to go all out in their defence of the championship. This time around, Nissan pin their hopes on Mark Higgins and sharing the load, Turkey's Ercan Kazaz. There's a first time for everything, of course. Skoda will be making their debut appearance in the British Championship. At the wheel, Bridgnorth's Steve Wedgbury. Peugeot are here, but with their new 306 still under construction, reigning junior champion Neil Weirden will drive his own car in Wales.
Go 150, late 4 left sharp, rest.
And so to battle, and little surprise that those 2 wise old heads, Evans and Davis, were setting the Formula 2 pace in their own backyard. Gwyndaf actually set the fastest overall time on the second stage of the event. The murky conditions around Clochainog would pose real problems. Fortunately for Evans, he knew the place like the back of his hand. Peering through the gloom, teammate Jarmo Kutuletto could have done with a share of Gwindaf's local knowledge. The Finn slid off in stage 2, and then again in a big way in stage 3. Kutuletto's chance of victory turned on its head. He was a long way from home, but with the help of some newfound friends, the Finn was dragged back on track. It was already proving to be an eventful visit to the valleys.
How much time did this cost you, Jarmo?
4 or 5 minutes, I think.
What do you think of the conditions, the fog?
Difficult.
The conditions have been really difficult there. The fog has been really nasty, but you know, it's the same for everybody, I suppose. At the end of the day, that's the only consolation.
Of course, some drivers actually prefer fog or say they quite like it, and others hate it. Which category are you in?
I hate it.
Neil Simpson hoped that Gwindaf's old Escort would bring him luck. That was dashed. A broken drive shaft, one-wheel drive, and an early exit. With 4 Formula 2 wins back in his homeland already this year, Tapio Laukkanen is one of the most highly rated of the Finnish drivers. Some early running repairs to his Golf proved a handicap, though. It cost him half a minute in penalties. He still managed to keep tabs with rival Gwindaf Evans. Teammate Juko Puhakka has never before ventured beyond his native Finland. A trip into the fog-bound Welsh forest, a radical departure. No gorillas, but gremlins in the mist for Ashley Blenkhorn. He stopped in stage 3 and didn't restart.
Having better luck was Mark Higgins in the Nissan Sunny, but he and Phil Mills would lose vital seconds passing Kutuletto's incident on the last of the Clockeinog stages.
40, right 6 of a crest, and left 5, 40.
Manxman Higgins, who now runs a rally school in mid-Wales, was well on the pace. He was 6th overall and 2nd of the F2 cars. Teammate Ercan Kazaz was rallying on British soil for the first time. But the Turkish asphalt champion and his vastly experienced British co-driver Roger Freeman were taking no risks as the friendly Turks started to acclimatise.
So, how are you enjoying the Welsh weather, Ercan?
I think the fog is helping me a lot, because the thing is, if I was trying to learn the notes and all these roads in a clear weather, the difference could have been bigger.
We did about 20 miles with this particular car on Wednesday, so this is really a rally to get ourselves into everything. And I didn't like the way it started off, but it's going to get better, I think, now, and hopefully we'll have a bit more of a crack later on.
Fog is absolutely, how can I say, grande catastrophe for me.
What did you say?
Grande catastrophe for me.
Oh, grand catastrophe.
Welcome return visitors to the series are the Renault team from France. This year they've entered the new Megane, this one driven by French tarmac specialist Serge Jourdain. More at home in the second Megane is Robbie Head, this year co-driven by Brian Thomas. Renault are the first team to arrive with the so-called kit car. The state-of-the-art 2-litre two-wheel drive cars have more modifications than are allowed in the standard Group A. But the bigger spoilers, wheel arches and more highly tuned engines, among other things, make the car ineligible for championship points this year.
Now then, what's happened here, Robbie?
I think it's the head gasket that's gone in the engine. So about 2 or 3 kilometres from the end of that last stage, the windscreen started misting up and I could see water coming out from the scuttle in front of the windscreen. We got to the end of the stage and it was smoking, so that's it. Finished.
So you're out?
Afraid so.
As the rally passed through the Penmachno stages near Betws-y-Coed, Alistair McRae had really stamped his authority on the rally. With its anti-turbo lag system chattering happily, the Malcolm Wilson-prepared Escort Cosworth was a full minute ahead of its nearest challenger. Yet McRae was well within his limits. McRae's strongest competition came in the shape of Ari Mokkanen driving another Cosworth prepared in Cumbria, this time by Mike Little. Mokkanen drove a Nissan Sunny in last year's championship, but did his reputation no good with a series of incidents. On this event, after earlier holding the radiator, the cheerful Finn was going well but taking no risks for once. Wales was awash with Finns for the weekend of the rally, many of them driving in the Group N four-wheel drive production class. This is Ollie Harkey, who won the category here last year and was ahead again. Hot on his heels at this point was the rising Finnish junior star Harry Rovanperä, driving another Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Driving this borrowed car for the first time, he was nevertheless keeping a good 2 minutes ahead of yet another Finn in yet another Lancer. This one is the current Finnish Group N champion, Mika Korhonen. Last year's British Group N champion, Trevor Cathers, made a rare mistake in his Subaru Impreza. As darkness fell, the fog returned. Gwyndaf Evans, with his local knowledge, continued to set a blistering pace among the F2 runners and head the championship as the route moved northwards.
I'm on the promenade at New Brighton on the Wirral Peninsula of all places. It's the scene of the last 2 stages of day 1 before the cars toddled back to Chester. Now, to be perfectly honest, the drivers aren't over-enamoured with these so-called Mickey Mouse stages, but it does bring rallying to the public, and as you can see, the crowds love it. An estimated 5,000 people turned up to watch the action on the 2 circuits of this 2.3-mile stage, despite it being a bitterly cold night. Gwyndaf Evans, heading a bunch of F2 cars, set fastest time on the first circuit, showing that F2 power can outpace 4x4 sure-footedness on occasions. But Mokkonen turned the tables on the second. So, at the end of day 1, McRae held a 47-second lead over Mokkonen. Gwyndaf Evans' F2 car headed the Group N Lancers of Harkey and Rovanperä. Then 3 more F2 runners, Higgins, Laukkanen and Puhakka. Before the car set off on day 2, we asked some of the team managers why the British Championship is so important to them.
It really is the big marketplace in which to show our cars against sort of their peer group competitors. So Volkswagen Golf against Renault Megane and all those sorts of things. It really is very vital to the marketing effort.
If you can do well in this championship, then you're pretty certain you can do well in other parts of the world as well.
We have to be there this year. We have to defend the title, and we have to show people we can still do the business.
Now, what do you think of the entry this year on this first event?
It's fantastic, and it's good competition at the front.
I think it's extremely encouraging because F2 has really sort of taken a hold in this country, and we tried to stabilise the rules for a few years, and it really seems to be paying off now, and it's very, very encouraging indeed.
Day 2 would see the field venture into mid-Wales for the much-enjoyed fast-flowing stages, including those in the Dyfi Forest. While the scrap for the Formula 2 honours continued behind him, the defending British champion Alistair McRae appeared in a class of his own. Having breezed through the tricky opening day conditions, McRae's four-wheel drive Escort stormed into the second leg, hoping to add to his 45-second overnight lead. You wouldn't have guessed it by his spectacular display, but Alistair had to battle against illness too throughout the second leg. Helped by a spot-on choice of tyres, he piled on the pressure, taking chunks of time out of the chasing pack. McRae was fast disappearing into the distance and into an uncatchable lead. Harry Mokkonen may have started the second day with McRae in his sights, but his slim hopes of closing the gap were washed away as McRae carved out a 2-minute cushion through Maherin and Sweet Hafren. Day 1 mist and fog had been replaced by rain. It was difficult to know which was worse.
It's actually not as bad as yesterday, although it's raining now. The fog isn't so bad, so it's more fun.
So are you happy with everything?
Yeah, the car's good. We've sorted the brake problem we had yesterday. So we'll just wait and see what time Harry Mokkonen did in there.
Alistair was very fast just this stage, and I think he knows a little bit better this stage. But no, we haven't any problems. Everything working, and we changed tire a little bit different compound. We're learning car.
So McRae set to mop up from Mokkanen in the overall rally, but the F2 contest was still alive, and Gwyndaf Evans was kicking hard.
7 left, forward.
Egged on by the hardy home support, Evans was in top form. The rain didn't seem to be bothering Gwyndaf or his hard-working backup team. It was hardly weather for camping, but Ford's tented workshop provided ideal cover as the team beavered away to keep Evans's Formula 2 victory bid on course.
You certainly look after your boys here.
We spoil them really, but then again they spoil me as well. Nothing's too much trouble for them, and it's the least they deserve really.
So you had a really good day yesterday, Gwyndaf?
Yes, it went well for us. We went quite quickly in the fog, took quite a bit of risks in it, and so far it paid off. But obviously we've got quite a long way to go again, but we're happy with progress so far.
Running second in Formula 2, Mark Higgins.
Tightens slightly through Deceptive Junction, and left 6, and Max right. 80 left 4
Higgins
fast.
almost came unstuck there. Let's see how it looked from the outside. Back in the cockpit, Higgins was giving navigator Phil Mills some nervous moments.
Long right 3 late. Oh. That way, that way.
That spin alone cost him half a minute. This was very much a testing time for Higgins. With plenty of changes to the car, it was a case of getting to know you in his Nissan. But despite the odd hiccup, it was proving to be a satisfying start to the championship.
We've had a little bit of problems yesterday, but I think it's more me getting used to the car as opposed to the actual car. We've tried a longer gear lever this morning, so I can be a bit more positive with the gear change. But because we put a longer lever in now, it's unfortunately jumping out a couple of times. So it's 6 to 1, and just working out what's the best route to take. But I think we'll stick with this idea.
But you must be very pleased with your position overall.
Yeah, I mean, we've come here to learn the car and sort of see how things go. Laukenen's now, I think, got ahead of us. But we can let them crack on and just pick up the pieces. It's a long championship, and that's what we're here for.
Higgins may have had his eyes on Tapio Laukkanen, but the Finn was to see his challenge in Wales come to a premature end. He'd driven his Golf into a handy position, second in Formula 2 behind Gwyndaf Evans. Laukkanen appeared to be going well.
Pitkä oikein, 4.80. Vasen 5 ja vasen 5.40.
Sadly for Tapio, his engine gave up in Sweet Hafren. His rally ended in bitter disappointment. A bad day at the office all round for Volkswagen. Yuko Puhaka had to contend without wipers. It lost him 4 minutes and any realistic hope of a good result. No such problems for reigning junior champion Neil Weirden, showing some style aboard his 306.
Long hairpin left, don't cut. 40. Long medium right. To hairpin left. 40.
The outlook for British rallying appears bright. Ryan Champion, another junior, chasing hard throughout. Over the hill, but barely out of short trousers, Justin Dale was to come out on top in the chase for the junior title in Wales. There was a monumental tussle for honours in the A6 class. David Higgins had held sway throughout the fog-bound first day. His Honda looked to have the measure of his rivals. But as mechanical problems began to hinder Higgins, the Swede Lars Goran Andersson and his Corsa made a real dogfight of it. Andersson and Higgins were enjoying their head-to-head.
The stage with the hard serves are better for a smaller powered car because it doesn't drain the power so much. So when you have the real soft boggy ones, the old power just goes. So I like the hard, fast stages where if you're brave enough, you keep your foot in. And hopefully that's where we can take some time back.
This is what we call a bit of a giant killing act because you've only got a small CC engine here.
Yeah, it's
1600.
Yeah, but it's a very good car to drive. It's easy to drive and working very well.
Oh, keep up the good work, and it's very nice to see you here on the championship.
Yeah, thank you.
It was just a 90 right, which was tightening with a big drop on the left, and I just went too wide, and I couldn't quite see where the road went, and it was so unlucky, just 2 wheels and then onto our roof and down. But luckily there was enough spectators to put us on our wheels again.
But you're going to be able to continue all right?
Yeah, we'll be fine. Put a windscreen on, and then we'll be off.
Is this the first time that you've rallied together?
It is, yes.
Can I ask you what you think of it so far?
I have every confidence in Jane. It was just very, very unfortunate. The wheels were just slightly off the road, and it was just one of those things.
Very unlucky.
Go on, good luck. That's the spirit. 21-year-old Jane Gunningham is one of the pluckiest drivers around and set off to attack 29 stage miles without wipers before they could be made to work. But the Peugeot 306 would make it to the finish of the event, unlike another female crew in the Junior Championship.
Basically, we came around a kind of 90 left, and there was lots of logs on the right, and I tried to avoid the logs, got it crossed up, just managed to get grip just as we kind of hit a banking, and then we smashed our radiator, so it's kind of died on us.
Must have been a bit of a moment for you, Donna. I see that you sort of bent the foot panel there.
Yeah, it's not very strong, that one. But, yeah, we were all right, apart from sore necks, I think. But apart from that, we're all right.
There were no such problems for the Simonite sisters. Stephanie was adapting well to her first left-hand drive outing, the sequential gearbox, and the responsibility of a brand-new works car. But there was a lot of learning to do.
Everything comes up quicker, you know, you're working so much harder and quicker in the car. Your reactions have got to be there just instantly. We've had a few moments where the sort of back ends come round and you just got to react naturally, which hopefully is happening.
Have you had any screaming and shouting and swearing between you?
No, not yet. Everything's run to plan, so just keep going now.
The new 1600cc engine planned for Steve Wedgbury's Skoda Felicia wasn't quite ready, so the Shropshire lad had to make do with 1300 for this first event. Harry Rovanpera had driven a good rally in the borrowed Mitsubishi, and his smooth but unspectacular style was rewarded with a 10th place overall and second in Group N. And a superb British debut for Erjan Kazaz in the Nissan, who coped with the strange conditions brilliantly to finish 9th. For young David Higgins with Cliff Simmons in the Honda Civic, it was a good start to the year. Despite having gearbox problems early in the event and running on only 3 cylinders on the longest stage of the rally. The spectators enjoyed the sight and sound of the new Megane kit car. Quickly adapting to the unfamiliar gravel, the Frenchman, Serge Jourdain, brought the sole surviving car into a creditable 7th. Despite losing over 4 minutes when he rolled the RS2000 into the scenery, Jarmo Cutuletto drove a storming event to finish 6th overall and 3rd in Formula 2.
And long left 6, opens over crest, over 130, then right 6, 60, left 6, 100, over crest long and right 6.
Mark Higgins and Phil Mills were pleased with their efforts, as were Nissan. They finished 5th overall and 2nd in Formula 2, despite this little display. Winning the Group N category on the Vauxhall Rally of Wales for the 2nd year running was Olli Harki from Finland. This year, he finished 4th overall with co-driver Carl Mustelati and rates the Welsh Forest stages second only to, you know where, Finland. Fastest Formula 2 runner on every single stage of the 2nd day of the rally, Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davies had put in an impeccable drive in the Ford RS2000. They finished 3rd overall and 1st in Formula 2 by 4 minutes.
Open, tight 9 left. Open, tight 9 left.
Ari Mokkanen and Voito Silander had been on their best behaviour after crashing heavily in Portugal in this very Escort Cosworth. They were rewarded here with 2nd overall. But winning the event by almost 5 minutes were Alistair McRae and David Senior. McRae had shown his class and was fastest on 10 of the 15 stages, despite suffering from food poisoning for all of the 2nd day.
Congratulations, Alistair. You're making a habit of this.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row down here, and with a good result in the RAC, so Wales is good to me.
It's been a tough rally and very difficult conditions.
And how's the car gone?
It's gone perfectly. In Golden Spoon Engineering have put a fine car together here.
So this is exactly what you planned?
Exactly.
All the best for the championship, Gwyndaf. So, the final results of the Vauxhall Rally of Wales. First, for the second year running, Alistair McRae. Second, Ari Mokkanen. And third, Gwyndaf Evans. Olli Haki from Finland was fourth and winner of Group N. And the championship points after round 1. 5 different manufacturers represented, and Gwyndaf Evans at the head of the field. And in the Manufacturers' Championship, Ford with a healthy lead ahead of Nissan and Honda. Then Peugeot, VW and Skoda.
Max right 150, caution, Max left over crest, deceptive, into right 5 plus, 40, left 5, and Max right into right 5, don't cut, and Max right over crest, 100, caution, bump into turn left 1 plus, narrow, and left 4 plus, don't cut, 150. Notes, left 6 logs, maybe, into Max right of a crest, 80 narrows, over kinks and logs, right 5, 100, left 5 plus long, logs, 60, caution crest into right 5, into left 5, 150, Max left 130, Max right into crest, 100, caution, right 5, into long left 3 plus of a bump. And Max right of a crest long, 40, crest straight at Max right, 150, left 6 long, then right 5 plus of a bump, then left 6 cut of a crest, 80, caution bump, into right 5 of a crest late, 60, left 6, 200 through kinks, right 6, then left 5 long, 70 through posts, right 2 plus, 40, Max crest, 80, right 5 over crest cut, 150, Max crest, 110 over crest, turn deceptive, open left 2, 150, long left 4, 200, Max crest long into Max left, 200, Max crest 150, caution, Max crest over 100 down okay, long right 5 plus, tightens and continues over 110, 40, left 2 plus of a crest, logs and tight, logs and tight, left 2 plus of a crest, then long right 5 plus, 150, long crest okay, 40, Max right past junction, 60, caution crest long and long right 3 narrows, 40, then right 5 plus, 60, stay right of a crest into left 5, and Max crest long, and left 6, 40, crest long, 60, caution right 4 of a crest, deceptive, and long left 5 plus, 130, caution chicane right entry, 130, Caution, going right into turn left 2, tight and narrow, into right 1 plus around roundabout, into max left, and long right 5 plus, don't cut, opens over 150, and right 6 continues to caution chicane. 170. Left 5 into turn right 1 plus, roundabout. Left 5 plus, don't cut, exit. 100. Turn open left 3, fast exit. 200. Move right, first lap, stay right, into left 5 over gravel, turn right 1 plus, roundabout. 250, merge in. Turn second right 3 after chevron, left 2.
Welcome to round 2 of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship. A championship that is now commonly recognised as one of the most competitive in the world. And one in which no less than 7 major manufacturers have entered teams this year. The Pirelli International takes place in the beautiful but gruelling Kielder Forest with its fast, rough tracks. And if that's not enough, pace notes are banned. So the co-drivers have to demonstrate high-speed map reading skills to their high-speed drivers. More of this and the best action in the next 25 minutes on this, the Pirelli International Rally. But before the rally cars attack the deceptive tracks of Kielder, over 6,000 spectators are entertained to all sorts of motoring antics at a special show at Carlisle Airport. Soon it was the turn of the rally drivers to entertain the crowds. A short 3/4 mile stage among straw bales and old tyres around the airport perimeter track featured as stages 1 and 2 of this 2-day rally. With rallying growing rapidly in popularity, spectator stages are now becoming part and parcel of most major rallies. Robbie Head and Brian Thomas only managed one stage in the Megane before clutch and gearbox problems sidelined the car.
It's disappointing, but we'll be there the next time. We're testing all the time, and the car's going better. It's just a shame that we can't show it on this rally.
After the first 2 stages at Carlisle Airport, Finn Harry Mokkanen led the rally, albeit by only 1 second. He was clearly getting the hang of the Cosworth and attacked the 11-mile stage at Churdon Head in no uncertain manner. His main opposition on this rally was Alistair McRae in another Cosworth. McRae certainly knows Kielder a little better than Mokkanen, but a ding-dong battle would develop between these 2 non-championship contenders at the head of the field. McRae and Mokkanen were literally neck and neck after 4 stages. This is Turkish champion Ercan Kazaz having his first taste of Kielder with Roger Freeman in the works Nissan. It will be a short visit.
You're okay, go on. That's finished the rally. It's my fault.
There's honesty for you. The Kielder maps had claimed their first victim, as David Higgins and Cliff Simmons discovered.
Max left over 90.
The first Forest stage would claim another victim. For Steve Wedgbury in the brand new 1600cc Skoda Felicia, it was a case of a bridge too far. His rally was over. Despite the speedy efforts of the spectators, this delayed the following cars. Stephanie Simonite lost a full 2 minutes, and Julian Reynolds 1 minute. You wouldn't know it, but Jarmo Cutuletto also had problems. His RS2000 had lost second gear, but the Finnish farmer didn't slacken his pace 1 iota, and after the first 4 stages had a 13-second lead over championship leader Gwyndaf Evans in his RS2000. After his textbook drive on the Vauxhall Rally of Wales, Gwyndaf Evans was determined not to put a foot wrong in Kielder this year. Ford's 36-year-old chief test driver was driving as smoothly and quickly as ever, but was giving second best to Cuttoletto after 4 stages.
So, Gwyndaf, your teammate Yamo Cuttoletto's giving you a bit of a run for your money today.
He's going very well, but I expected that really. He went very well last year, and the boy's a quick boy.
Will you be able to replace the gearbox?
I don't know. I don't know what we can do.
You're doing very well then to be leading with no second gear.
Oh, thank you.
Regrettably, the gearbox gave up completely on stage 5, and Cuttoletto and co-driver Arto Kapanen retired, leaving Gwyndaf Evans in the Formula 2 lead. Another fast Finn, Tapio Laukkanen, wasn't quite on his usual form in the VW Golf on the early stages. He was just inside the top 10 after the first of the Forest sections. But on the next stage at Harwood, the wheel nuts on one of the front wheels sheared and he ground to a halt, blocking the stage, which was then delayed by 30 minutes. It was the end of the road for Laukkanen as the stage took on the appearance of the M25 on a bad day. Laukkanen's demise saw the VW baton pass to his fellow countryman Jukka Puhakka, who on only his second visit to Britain was in 8th place. The Nissan Sunny of Mark Higgins had a new engine management system. Mark was making the most of it and lying second in F2 with some very fast driving.
So what are the stages like today, Mark?
Well, he seems to be catching a few people out already. We just went past Laukkanen in there, who stopped with a problem. And unfortunately, our teammate, I think, has stopped in the second stage as well, 3rd stage. So it's only fairly early on in the rally, but everything seems to be happening.
While Fords dominated the top of the leaderboard, they had other irons in the fire too. Neil Simpson admits to being a slow starter, but he was determined to take a trouble-free trip through Kielder. Things appeared to be going to plan. By contrast, the Simonite sisters had to spend most of the first leg making up for lost time. Through no fault of their own, their earlier hold-up had seen them drop down to 50th place. Downhearted but undeterred, they set about clawing their way back through the field. Julian Reynolds in hot pursuit too.
It's a long rally to go, and it only takes some people to have a puncture and we'll be back up there, but we're fighting back.
So plenty of work to do for the Simonites. Meanwhile, Neil Weirden was experiencing problems too. At times he found it rocky going and struggled to keep pace with his Formula 2 rivals.
There's a lot of regrading going on. There's a lot of small pebbles covering the whole of the road, and it's very, very slippy. It's like driving on the beach. It drags you down to and saps all your power out of the car.
In his first championship appearance of the season, Julian Reynolds was giving it his all. His Group A Honda Civic, though, showing early signs of wear. He lost his exhaust through the remote 4th stage through Harwood, completed the next losing oil. His engine sounding a few wrong notes, he was eventually forced to retire. Meanwhile, David Higgins was upholding family honour after a good start in his Honda.
All the way over the crest. So Max right over a crest. Up to a left 5. 50 yards, left 5. 200 yards, left 4. All the way to the end, look. Looks all good. Left 4-ish and right 4.
The fact that pace notes and wrecking are not allowed on this rally puts a lot of extra stress on the co-drivers. It becomes a blind rally and the drivers have to put their entire faith in their partners, whose job it becomes to try and read out every single bend off the Ordnance Survey map. Howard, how difficult is it reading the maps in Kielder here?
It is very difficult. If you can imagine, I've got to sit there with the potty map light and look at this map and try and decipher the corners and make the corners. From what I see, I've got to try and describe it into a corner for Gwyndaf, and if it's narrow, it's sharp, and try and describe as much as you can about the corner to try and get us as quickly as we can go around the corner. It's very difficult. It's not something you can do just like that. It's taken me many years of road rallying and practice, really, and it's not easy. Kielder would be a lot easier on pace. Now, for me, this rally isn't the best rally to do off the maps. I'd much prefer to do somewhere else, like Forest of Dean or Wales, for that matter.
To square right. Square right, there it is down there. Watch it look slippy. Square right.
Well, it's obviously very, very difficult because we're so used to driving on notes. To adjust is very, very difficult, and sometimes he does such a good job of it. He reads the map so well, it puts you into a false sense of security, and you go quickly, and then all of a sudden him or the map is not quite right, and it's so easy to get caught out.
50 mètres, attention, basse 110, frein pour basse 80, point à droite 50. 50 mètres, basse droite 80, referme 70, ferme à droite 50.
Just with the map, it's difficult for us.
And your co-driver, is he reading the bends to you?
Yes, he tries. It's not easy for him.
It's a tricky business for everyone, and that includes the reigning British champions.
We still use our descriptive system, so like a medium right would be 45 degrees, the middle of the road. And that's the difficulty in map reading, because you've got to look at the map, decide what you're going to say it all in the time before we get there, so it's quite hard.
You've still got to drive with your eye a bit. When you're on pace notes, you're 110% committed. When you're on the map, you've still got to be aware that it's a drawing that's in front of Dave and it might be slightly wrong, so you've got to be a bit more careful.
So an intriguing insight into the crucial driver-navigator relationship. Ultimately, of course, it's the man behind the wheel who provides the driving force behind any team effort. And as the first leg continued to unwind, reigning champion Alistair McRae maintained a cracking pace to build a 30-second lead over rival Ari Mokkanen. His challenge, though, literally stalled in the penultimate stage of the day.
I'm not pushing bloody car.
The delay cost Alistair valuable time, his rival able to close the gap to just 12 seconds. But despite a spin in the final stage of the day, McRae got back on top, finishing leg one 41 seconds clear of the field. Ari Mokkanen had battled away to match McRae over the day's early stages, but as the day wore on, he allowed the Scot to ease away. Despite McRae's slip-ups in the last two stages of the day, Mokkanen aboard the Mike Little-prepared Cosworth was unable to capitalise. A tyre came off the rim and punctured. It was a chance missed for Mokkanen. He wasn't to get close to McRae again. Having taken his Opel Astra to third overall in Formula 2 in the Pirelli last year, Finland's Harry Rovanperä was going well with the early lead in the Group N section, gradually extending the advantage throughout the day. Compatriot Olli Harki was chasing hard, clinging to second in Group N. Then on the day's final stage, he revealed a hidden passion for the long jump. Quite possibly a Finnish record, but stuck in the mud, it ends Harki's hopes. Clearly there was a side bet between the Finns. Soon after, along came Rovanperä. More of a skip than a jump, it had the same result. His hopes of success in the Pirelli nosedived. Suddenly, a tractor looked a better option than his Mitsubishi. It was a sorry sight. The tussle for the Production Cup had pushed these two over the edge. All they could do was sit tight and enjoy the Cumbrian scenery and contemplate the long trek home.
The hasty departure of the Finnish Mitsubishis suddenly elevated Steve Petch and Peter Croft into a Group N lead. The experienced Petch has recently been on very good form, but even he must have been surprised to find his Subaru Impreza in 7th place at the end of day one. Also impressive, lying second in Group N and 9th overall, was a former national champion, David Mann with Mike Kidd. They were on board a Proton Persona. Although Protons are 10 a penny in Far Eastern rallying, this is the first time we've seen the Malaysian mark on the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship. The former French rally champion, Sir Jourdain, was enjoying his first visit to Kielder, despite his preference for tarmac. He and co-driver Jacques Boyer had climbed to 8th place in the Renault Megane kit car, but the front left-hand hub failed on the last stage of the day and the second Renault was out. As ever, the Peugeot juniors were in there fighting and mixing it with the best. Jason Sharp and Ian Bevan's 306 was second in the section, 9 seconds behind Justin Dale and Andrew Bargery in a similar car. Justin was driving with a maturity that belies his 24 years of age. Jukka Puhakka and Marko Lehtinen, who speak very little English between them, had a good day and were lying third in the F2 section despite exhaust problems which were slowing the car somewhat. Jukka would finish the day in 7th place overall, but was sick for most of the night, having inhaled exhaust fumes all afternoon. Mark Higgins in the Nissan Sunny had struggled to catch the flying Fords in Formula 2, but at the end of day 1 he held 4th overall and 2nd in F2. The Manxman, who, with his family, now runs a rally school in Wales, couldn't quite hit top spot. Heading the championship, those Welsh wizards Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davies. After an uncharacteristic accident on the Pirelli the year before, Gwyndaf was determined not to repeat the performance. Since Jarmo Cutuletto's departure, Gwyndaf had things more or less his own way and held the lead of 51 seconds in the F2 category. But he was keeping on the pressure, as no margin is ever big enough in Kielder with the ever-present threat of punctures. So at the end of day 1, 2 four-wheel drive Escort Cosworths at the head of the leaderboard, those of McRae and Mokkonen. Then 2 Formula 2 cars, Evans Escort and Higgins Nissan Sunny, followed by 2 new names, Steve Petch and David Mann in four-wheel drive Group N cars.
Well, here we are, the second day of the rally, and as ever, Kielder is living up to his reputation. No less than 9 out of the top 20 cars fell by the wayside yesterday. And to get today off to a good start, a little something to entertain the drivers, the longest stage of the rally, a massive 24 miles.
Alistair McRae picked up where he left off the day before and attacked the long Pundershaw stage in the way that has made his father and big brother famous in these forests. Harry Mokkonen had fallen behind McRae and changed the gearbox before the first stage of day 2. He was 46 seconds behind Alistair at this point, but was still within striking distance of the Scot, with 57 miles of stages to go. Despite having had a bad night's sleep because of a noisy disco in his Carlisle hotel, Gwyndaf Evans stormed into Pundershaw using every inch of the road. He was driving at over 100 miles an hour at times. But Mark Higgins' fine drive came to an abrupt end in Pundershaw. Holding a healthy second place in Formula 2, the Nissan took to the air after a blind crest and rolled end over end 5 times. The Rally Medical Rescue Services sprang into action, and after attention by paramedics, Mark and co-driver Phil Mills were flown to Hexham General Hospital. A bruised Phil was released after an examination, but Mark was admitted suffering from a fractured vertebra. Mark has told us that he plans to be back in action very soon and says you can't keep a good rallyman down. Jock Armstrong and John Richardson had a surprise waiting for them around this Kielder corner. Third-placed F2 driver Puhakka had spun his Golf. Eventually Armstrong managed to get ahead of the Golf and hold on to his top 15 place. But Puhakka was still in the top 10. Sweden's Lars-Göran Andersson is one of the finds of the championship this year and was most impressive in Wales. On the Pirelli, he was magnificent in his 1600cc Opel Corsa and climbed to second to Gwyndaf Evans in F2.
It's working well, and the other one seems to fall out of the rally, so we are going up through the field.
So you're waiting for more people to fall out?
We can't wait for that, but I'm going to do the best I can, and then we see how it be.
Another driver benefiting from the dropouts but driving very well was former Shell Scholarship winner Neil Simpson with his Cumbrian co-driver Steve Martin.
I'm just glad to get that one out of the way. We wanted to have a good run through there and keep it dead tidy in the middle of the road, because if you have a problem in a stage of that length, you really, you can forget your result really. So now we've got that one out of the way, we're looking to up it a little bit on these next few.
Lower down the field, there's still plenty of hard driving and plenty at stake. In Class N1, Emlyn Wynne had taken the early upper hand in a Suzuki. Red Barry struggled to keep pace, also in a Suzuki, the Scot finishing the first leg 2 minutes adrift of his rival. Come day 2, Barry began to make a fight of it. He spent the day closing in. But Wynne managed to hang on grimly to his ever-decreasing lead. By the finish, he won the section by just 6 seconds. Charlie Exton had shared the Class N2 lead with Jim Sharp after the early tarmac stages around Carlisle Airport. But once into the forests, Exton began to climb away from the rest. By the day's end, he was the only driver still running in the section, eventually taking 28th overall. Now, Juuso Picalisto is considered one of the names to watch for in the future. It's certainly not a name you're likely to forget in a hurry. The Finnish driver held the N3 lead overnight, but late on day 2, gearbox problems saw him overhauled. Manxman Nigel Cannell had managed to keep right on the pace in his Astra. He was in the right place to take second in section, which all left Dick Archer and Kevin Scott celebrating section success in their Vauxhall Astra. They say size isn't important. It didn't seem to matter to Nick Barrow, taking his Mini into a 3-minute Class A5 lead. Having drawn first blood and then seen his Peugeot 106 overhauled by the Mini, Adam Kent kept at it, taking third in the section. After Nick Barrow's rally ended in Pundershaw, it was left to Keith Bird to uphold the Mini mark. A steady run, 34th overall, second in class. Remember the Top Gear Rally Quest? Jim Smith was the very first winner. 8 years later, he took A5 honours here. Mitsubishi's earlier field trip had opened the door for mushroom farmer David Mann to take second in Group N and 4th overall. Steve Petch just kept rolling along. A steady run through day 2 saw him steer his way into 3rd overall and a Group N win. Of the Formula 2 runners, Peugeot were looking to 23-year-old Lancastrian Neil Weirden. After battling against overheating and road penalties, he dropped behind leading junior Justin Dale. Victory in the section here cemented Dale's junior championship lead and second in the overall championship. As for Volkswagen, third man in the factory-supported team, Ashley Blenkhorn, still battling away, taking his Golf into the top 20. Teammate Yuko Puhaka went even better, in the top 10. Stephanie Simonite earned lots of credit. 50th overall at one point and battling against illness, she steadily climbed her way back up the leaderboard. Neil Simpson found Gwyndaf Evans' former RAC car to his liking. After surviving a rocky moment on leg 1, he enjoyed serene progress in Formula 2 on leg 2. Gwyndaf Evans was once again flying the Ford flag though. Another terrific display from the Welshman saw him once more dominate the Formula 2 field. Difficult to see how he could be caught. Lars Goran Andersen had shown impressive form in Wales. When David Higgins blew his engine here, Lars took the initiative with an intelligent drive. Away from the British Championship, Ari Mokkanen and Alistair McRae were literally in a class of their own. Of the two, Mokkanen was having to settle for second best to the Scot. McRae was impressing as he bid to claim his dream of a World Championship drive. There seemed nothing to stop him, taking his second successive win.
This is the village square in Newcastleton. There's just one more stage to go now before the end of the Pirelli International Rally. But no one's counting any chickens because that last stage is 18 miles in length.
So much could still go wrong for any one of the drivers. Here, courtesy of a camera on the roof of Paul Dias's Ford, Neil Weirden can only stand and watch, having rolled on the very final stage. Ari Mokkanen was having to bite his lip too. Also in the final stage, Mokkanen had to park up by the roadside. His bid to keep pace with Alistair McRae had suddenly become an uphill battle. Mokkanen's gearbox had given up the ghost. He had to admit defeat.
I think the gearbox problem, we haven't gear, and I think mineshaft is broken.
Right.
And last stage and half. Not so many miles this way, but now, my lucky.
Mokkanen then almost lost for words, but his misfortune put Gwyndaf Evans into second place overall.
Hairpin left. Done 5 miles. We've got 14 miles to go. Got to change it, have we? Better do it here where there's loads of people in. Yeah, here, one in there.
A puncture late on proved but a minor interruption. it didn't halt Gwindaf's march to Formula 2 victory. It was his second in a row, and his position at the top of the British Championship was looking increasingly strong.
Congratulations, Gwindaf.
Thank you very much.
Just what you expected.
Exactly, and loads of points in the bags, and obviously delighted for the team and Ford and Howard and everybody else. Very happy.
Congratulations, Alistair and David. Another one for the record books.
Yeah, not bad. My dad's won this one, Colin's won it, so now I've done it, so happy.
So it's getting to be a bit of a habit though, isn't it, this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say a habit, we've won two now, so really we want to try and get into some World Championship rallies now. We've got a bit more experience with four-wheel drive, so we just need a big checkbook.
The final results of the Pirelli International Rally. A walkover for Alistair McRae and David Senior in the four-wheel drive Escort Cosworth. A splendid second overall and Formula 2 win for Gwindaf Evans and Howard Davis. With the amazing attrition rate of the Pirelli, only half the entry finished, so lots of new names up there in the results. So the state of the championship after 2 rounds. Gwindaf Evans a commanding lead from Juho Puhaka and Justin Dale. Mark Higgins is still in the hunt despite his retirement here, and the Simonite sisters now on the championship chart. In the Manufacturers' Championship, the Ford team are well and truly in command, with Nissan, Volkswagen, Peugeot and Honda all close on points.
Vasen tiukka. 90. No. Aha. Toi oli toi. Ei. Tiukempi oikein. Aika mutkikas tähän. Tämä on sama mutka. Toivo oikein tiukka vasen. Tässä on 90 vasen. Vasenia on. Suoraan. Tulee tiukempi vasen. Nyt suoraan. Nyt tulee tiukempi oikein jälkeen. Tulee tiukempi oikein ja vasen.
Welcome to round 3 of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship, the Perth Scottish Rally. Gwyndaf Evans, Ford Escort, leads the championship and he leads the field here. Mark Higgins back in action after his dramatic accident in Kielder Forest on the Pirelli. Former Ladies World Rally champion Louise Aitken-Walker comes out of retirement. There were trips to the lowlands and highlands of Scotland during the 650-mile route. Day 1 took the car south to the classic border stages. Then it was off to the hills for the rough stages and big drops in the west. With the Escort Cosworths of Alistair McRae and Harry Mockanen missing this event, the top 10 seeds are all Formula 2 cars. Gwyndaf Evans was number 1 away, ahead of teammate Jarmo Cutuletto. After a disappointing retirement on the previous round, Cutuletto was determined to do great things. He was the Formula 2 winner here last year in a Vauxhall Astra and soon took the F2 lead again. But Cutuletto wasn't having it all his own way by any means. This is Tapio Laukkanen in full flight using every inch of the track. Tapio was squeezing every ounce of power from the VW Golf and started trading places with Cutuletto at the head of the group. A spin on the 4th stage, Craig, dropped him just 4 seconds behind his fellow Finn. The battle was well and truly on. The Scottish is renowned as being the sunny rally of the championship, but not this year. The changeable conditions suited Group N Mitsubishi Lancer driver Harry Rovanperä down to the ground. He was fastest on the 1st stage and held that lead. Robbie Head, driving the Renault Megane, hasn't managed to finish either of the first 2 rounds of the championship so far. Following the kit car success, winning the F2 World Championship Rally of Corsica in the hands of Filip Bugalski, Robbie was full of hope here in his native Scotland. But a good result suddenly looked a little less likely.
I was probably just trying a bit too hard near the finish, only about half a kilometre from the finish. A left-hander and the back just slid a bit too wide and the car ended up spinning into a log pile. We had to reverse and then drive forward and reverse and then make our way, so it cost probably 20 seconds, you know, so my fault. I'm just glad to get here because usually you're interviewing me and I've not got this far.
Head and co-driver Brian Thomas were just outside the top 10 after their brush with the logs. Teammates Serge Jourdan and Jacques Boyer were finding the gravel more to their liking than before and putting in good times. But there would be bad news on the horizon for the Renault camp on the 2nd stage at Elibank. Watch this.
In a long corner, there was a bump with a stone, and the engine fixation broke.
Oh, the engine mountings?
Yes, the engine down and bumped the radiator.
So that's it, you're out. The end of the rally for you.
It stopped, yes.
The unusual conditions continued. Wet 1 minute, dry the next. Neil Simpson's RS2000 looked to be going well, but he too was in trouble.
We've done 2 stages now, about 18 miles in total, with only 3rd gear, and we're having problems now repairing the problem. So we're late out of service here now, so we're going to be running quite late on the road, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, at the top end of the field, the pace was electric. Championship leaders Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davies claimed to be driving in a no-risk way which would protect their championship lead. Nevertheless, they clocked fastest time of the entire rally on the 6-mile stage at Castle Ower. The Welshmen were on song.
7 left. 7 left. And 6 right sharp.
40 miles of stages had been completed as the cars left the Twigley stage. Gwyndaf looked in control, but perhaps it wasn't all plain sailing after all.
She was turning over, but she just wouldn't start. And luckily we got some spectators and marshals to push us into the control. We eventually started in reverse, but there was a lot of smell of rubber. You can see now it's not turning over properly now. Hopefully they can find it now. I'm glad it's repeated itself.
Jarmo Cutuletto looked right on the pace, leading the Formula 2 contest from Evans. But he seemed to think he could go even faster.
It's going quite well, but we need to find some speed, more speed.
More speed? But you're leading the Formula 2 and everything very happily.
Only 1 second.
Oh, 1 second, right.
It's not too much, but it's enough.
Tapio Laukkanen had held the lead of F2 briefly and was determined to regain it with his characteristically fierce driving. Laukkanen was second fastest on the Twigley stage, but there were problems looming. Listen carefully.
About 1 mile before the end, the last stage, the gearbox started to give a bad noise, and then after the time control it jammed totally. Now we have to change it anyway.
The SBG mechanics knew they were up against time and had less than 15 minutes to change the gearbox. Fortunately, Jukka Puhaka's Golf needed no attention, and he made his way out of one of the most congested service areas anyone has ever seen. The Scottish Rally organisers had allocated a small T-shaped section of forestry road at Sandiford as a service area. As dozens of vans and management cars tangled with the rally cars trying to get in and out, chaos ensued. Tempers frayed as engineers and team personnel took on the role of car park attendants. Finding service areas is difficult, of course, but this should never have been used. The leading Mitsubishi Lancer of Harry Rovanperä and Juha Repo never even made it to its service van and set off into the next stage without its planned tyre change. Although the jam had cleared, Laukkanen's gearbox change had now cost him 1 minute 40 seconds in penalties.
After his previous championship excursion had ended in a hospital bed, Mark Higgins was simply happy to be back behind the wheel. Competing with heavy strapping to his injured spine and with a seat filled with enough foam to fill a three-piece suite, Higgins was posting some impressive times.
Press long into deceptive right 3. Deceptive right 3 defeated. Then left plus crest. 50 upper crest left. Then left 2 plus.
He kept in touch with the leading runners in Formula 2 using a lightweight version of his Sunny. Higgins was holding fourth among the Formula 2 contenders through the early stages. His Nissan teammate, the Turkish driver Ercan Kazaz, was truly on foreign soil. Ercan was finding it tough going on his first visit to the Scottish event, even with the welcome support of his girlfriend. His first taste of Scottish conditions, a real test. Tyre problems didn't help, and he struggled to stay with the pace. The 1990 Ladies World Rally champion Louise Aitken-Walker was rolling back the years. Away since 1992 to concentrate on family life, on her return to her beloved southern Scottish tracks, it seemed as though she'd never been away. With new co-driver Claire Mole, she established a narrow overnight lead in the ladies' contest. Another of the Hondas, driven by David Higgins, was enjoying quite a tussle with one of the revelations of the opening 2 rounds, Lars Goran Andersen. Higgins held the advantage through pit Medden. Our split screen shows that there was little to choose between Higgins on the top left and Andersen on the bottom right. The Swede, though, was to take a 14-second advantage into the overnight halt. Aboard his Mitsubishi Lancer, Finland's Olli Harki was doing his bit to maintain a strong Finnish Group N challenge and anxious to avoid a repeat of Mitsubishi's double whammy in the previous round. Remember this? And this. Rovanperä. Thankfully, both were keeping their Mitsubishis on the right track north of the border. Rovanperä outpacing his challengers from the very first stage.
For the last 30 years or more, Finland has always been considered as the breeding ground for rally drivers. But one of the features of our championship this year is that a whole load of them have descended upon us.
This British Championship, it has been a very important for me because I think it's been like one step forward in my career.
Who's going to be the next big star?
I don't know. Maybe Juuso Pykälistö is next.
You're very modest. I thought you'd say you would be.
Yes, but he's my friend.
So what do you think of this British Championship?
Yeah, longer race and very big stones in Pirelli, but I like the roads. Very little bit more different in Finland, but I liked it.
Why do you think so many young Finnish drivers are here this year?
I don't know. This is getting very good popularity everywhere in Finland and everywhere in the world. Maybe that's the one reason.
What is the encouragement in Finland for rallying?
we have a budget for educating them in driving and navigating in every sort of rally things.
And where does that budget come from?
From Federation, Finnish Sport Federation.
These young Finns, I mean, why do they have this passion about rallying, do you think, as youngsters there?
I think it's sort of virtually inbred into to Finnish motorists. It's the sort of third-ranking national sport in Finland, and I think I've often said that I think perhaps the average Finnish driver or average Scandinavian driver is probably 10 times better than, I should get a lot of stick for this, the average British driver. But I think it's brought about because of the fact that they are driving on quite to us quite dangerous surfaces most of the year, and they become very accustomed to driving it, so they have a lot of naturally inbuilt talent and skill, I think.
So who's the next big Finnish superstar?
You're just talking to him.
Well, modest to a fault, let's see if Tapio Laukkanen in action speaks as loud as his words.
Lyhyt vasen nopea plus 20, lyhyt oikein nopea risteys sisältä. Siis 20 oikein nopea sisältä, lyhyt. 150. Oikein nopea plus 70. Vaseri kirraa lopussa ja nyt oikein kun 50.
Onwards across the Firth of Forth, and the spectators out in force for 2 Knockhill tarmac stages. So to bed at the end of the first leg. With Tapio Laukkanen forced out of the rally when his second gearbox failed, Robbie Head's tarmac expertise helped nose him ahead of Jouko Puhakka on the leaderboard. Above them, Ollie Harkey, Scotland's Murray Grierson, Mark Higgins, Gwyndaf Evans, Cutaletto, and the overall leader, Harry Rovanperä. Refreshed and raring to go, Rovanperä started day 2, anxious to put some daylight between himself and his rivals. Heading the chasing pack, Jarmo Cutaletto set about cutting a 15-second deficit. Cutaletto would need eyes in the back of his head, though, on the second leg, with British Championship leader Gwyndaf Evans hoping to push him all the way. Evans was maintaining his title drive with another consistent display. He wasn't going to allow his rivals to chop his championship lead. Meanwhile, Mark Higgins was tucked in just 17 seconds further back.
30, left 3, into right 3, left 5, 50, left 6 of a crest, and max crest, 60, crest, and left 4 plus, into right 2 plus.
His progress looked smooth enough, though Higgins wasn't entirely happy.
We started off a bit slowly, and I think I made a wrong tyre choice on the first stage, and unfortunately we dropped pretty well more in that stage than what we lost to the hole yesterday. So a bit of catch up to do today to try and get back up.
Nissan teammate Ercan Kazaz was trying hard to fulfil his Eastern promise. Ercan was battling gamely to get used to the unfamiliar Scottish conditions. After their bitter experiences in Carlisle, Nissan were being given a better run for their money here. Kazaz in particular growing in confidence as the event wore on.
I enjoy the roads very much, but we have a traction problem since yesterday, and we had an alternator problem. So, I mean, we can't quite sort of drive the car in the right pace. This is our problem at the moment.
Former Scottish champion Murray Grayson held 5th place at the halfway stage. He'd been getting used to his right-hand drive Impreza, but the main problem was a broken centre differential which gave the car two-wheel drive handling characteristics. Because of this, on day 2, Grayson gave a large rock a hefty thump to the detriment of the Impreza's bodywork.
We just came down to a very slippy left-hander. It's a big rock on the outside, and we were just going a little bit too fast, slid wide, just hit the rock. Spun round about, lost quite a bit of time actually, so struggling now.
There was a minor moment for the flying Cutaletto when an overhanging branch got in the way. Co-driver's side, of course. Ollie Harkey in his Group N Lancer seemed slightly off the pace on the Scottish, and no match for Robin Pera in a similar car. Nevertheless, he was lying second in Group N and 4th overall by day 2. Yuko Pohaka has a novel approach to difficult hairpins. Just drive over the bank and hang the consequences. He was in 8th. Rally leader Robin Pera could do no wrong on this rally, but even he didn't come away completely unscathed. After a pre-event engine problem, Robin Pera had been praying that it would hold out. Now he faced another problem service area. Everyone was squashed at the roadside as the gate to the proper site was well and truly padlocked. As the rally leaders took their battles westwards towards Argyll and Bute, there were further tussles going on among the young hopefuls behind them. 25-year-old Justin Dale was not only leading the hotly contested Peugeot Junior Championship in his 306, but was also incredibly highly placed in the Formula 2 rankings.
The overall championship, I mean, you're figuring very highly in that. How surprised are you at that?
Very surprised, yeah. When we got to the finish of the Pirelli last month, we couldn't believe it. We thought they were joking when they said we was joint second. So I don't know how we're doing today, though.
The leading junior player on the Scottish rally was Ryan Champion from Yorkshire in 29th position overall.
There's a lot of big bumps and jumps, and it's taking its toll on the car, and there's a few bits hanging off it, but they'll put them all back on. So.
What's the competition like between you and Justin Dale and the other guys?
It's been very close. I mean, we're all swapping seconds, and it's sometimes too close for the heart, you know. But no, it's very good, yeah.
Also swapping seconds and giving himself the odd fright in the process in the hot battle at the head of F2 was Gwyndaf Evans, with Howard Davies reading the notes.
6 right, 30, care 4 left, 30, care 4.
There was now only a quarter of the 130 stage miles left. But as he came to the end of the island stage and into the service area in Glenbranta Forest Village, Gwyndaf Evans looked to have problems.
Since we've got a long 16-miler to do, I think because of the championship it's best not to chance it and change the box, maybe drop some road penalties here.
The gearbox was changed by the mechanics in less than 15 minutes and Evans set off in hot pursuit 20 seconds behind Cutaletto. Could he make it up? Cutaletto knew that the Welshman was after him and lost 10 seconds to Evans on the 16 miles Glenshelish stage. There was now less than 7 miles of stages left. It was virtually certain the Ford would win the F2 category. The question was, which one? The head-to-head battle down in the early teens was still going on. Lars Goran Andersen was pedalling his Opel Corsa indecently fast. But a broken drive shaft handed this particular contest to David Higgins in his Asquith Honda Civic. For all of the final stages, Higgins had to hold the gear stick in position and steer with one hand. For the first time in the series, Skoda's bad luck seemed to have been left behind, and Steve Wedgbury finished third in class in the Felicia. In the A5 class, Midlander Adam Kent brought his Peugeot 106 to the head of the hotly contested group.
We've got Jim Smith in the Nova and Nick Barrow, who always flies in his little Mini, and they're having a bit of a head-to-head at the moment, so hopefully one of them will... No, I wasn't going to say one of them will fall off, was I? No, they're having ever such a good battle behind, so hopefully they'll leave it there.
Jim Smith from Blairgowrie was introduced to rallying when he won the first Top Gear Rally Quest competition in 1988. Now he's firmly hooked on the sport and leading his class in the championship in his Opel Corsa.
What are they like, these big hills in this small car with a low engine?
Oh, they're not too bad, you just don't press the brakes. You just fly over all the bumps. So, yeah, not too bad at all.
The little Mini still raises cheers whenever it goes rallying, and Nick Barrow brought his 1.3 Mini Cooper into a second-class position. Barrow is accompanied by the veteran Welsh co-driver Howell Thomas. As a result of this rally, Barrow is second in the A5 Championship class to Jim Smith, with Adam Kent in third place.
Louise Aitken-Walker was enjoying a relatively trouble-free return to championship rallying. Her SW Motorsport Civic proving a more than willing accomplice. From her position at the head of the ladies' contest, she was able to judge those ladies keen to follow her example.
I think we've given a few people a good incentive to go a lot quicker. I think Steph's driving really well today, really well. They're difficult stages, but, you know, she's going really well. I'm pleased for her.
Indeed, the Simonite sisters did appear to be relishing their close-fought duel with the past master.
Hairpin left. Right 4, sudden, sharp, hairpin left. Left 3, jump to short right 5 to slippy.
For Stephanie Simonite, a head-to-head with Aitken-Walker was something to savour.
When you entered rallying a couple of years ago, you said Louise was your heroine, and here you are sort of competing with her. How does that feel?
It feels good, actually. You know, yes, we did look up to her, and here we are, you know, the first time we've ever competed against each other, and it's done my driving the world of good. It's really up my pace and a lot more controlled and actually going for it. Something to really, really aim for.
In the end, experience proved the key. Louise, 28th overall. The Simonites just 30 seconds further back. Though they weren't the only ladies on the road. Another of the challengers, Jenny Davis.
The stages are really nice, but unfortunately we just we hit a gate post on second last stage, and we didn't actually do any bodywork damage, but unfortunately we've kind of bent the back beam, and as a result my mechanics are trying to change it rapidly so we can get out to the next stage, because it's handling a bit strangely and the steering wheel's kind of like twisted, etc. And before that we had a puncture, so today's not going as well as it was yesterday, but hopefully we're going to finish. That's my intention.
Gladly, the problems were ironed out, the car was kicked back into life, Jenny's rally rolled on.
Hopefully one day, you know, we might have a all-female rally team, but I think I'll be the manager, and I'm getting too old for this game, Tony.
Finland's new boy Juuso Pikalisto ran away with Class N3, a winner by a full 11 minutes. Neil Weirden saw a steady improvement as clubman Peugeot safely home. David Higgins's Honda lasted the pace too, a top 20 finish. Turkish delight for Ercan Kazaz, a top 20 finish on his Scottish debut. Jock Armstrong clearly benefited from home advantage, the Scot neck and neck with Kazaz in the championship. Yuko Puhaka maintained his consistent showing, another high finish. After his Kielder calamity, a shaken Mark Higgins returned with a stirring drive and 5th overall. For David Mann, satisfaction guaranteed, another good result for the Proton he debuted in the Pirelli. Mika Korhonen content too, and he now leads the Group N Production Cup. Ollie Harkey kept his act together for second in class, leaving him third in the Group N Cup. Brian Lyle managed to squeeze into the top 10, one of 3 homegrown drivers to make the frame. Robbie Head was another. After a miserable start to the year, his Renault Megane came good. And Murray Grierson maintained home pride, 7th overall in his 4x4 Subaru. In the championship stakes, Gwyndaf Evans tackled the rest and be thankful stage, knowing time was running out on his bid to catch Jarmo Kutuletto. But the Finn wasn't for failing, and by just 13 seconds, he hung on.
Well done, Jarmo. Very good.
Thank you.
Second year in succession.
We had the troubles. We came last few 100 meters without the brakes, and
really, just now?
Yes, just now.
But unconcerned by the tussle for championship points, Harry Rovanperä emerged as the rally winner.
Congratulations, Harry. How does that feel? What about that?
Thank you. Very, very fantastic feel now.
So Harry Rovanperä, the overall winner, Jarmo Cuteletto second, Gwyndaf Evans in third, then Ollie Harkey, Mark Higgins and Robbie Head. Which all leaves Gwyndaf Evans still heading the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship, 27 points back, Yuko Puhaka, then it's Cuteletto and Higgins. And in the manufacturers contest, Ford still lead the way, Nissan and Volkswagen trailing behind. So the plaudits in Perth went to Harry Rovanperä.
Vasen nopea liukas ja oikein nopea plus. Ja lyhyt vasen ja pitkä oikein nopea plus, liukas 20. Oikein nopea ja vasen nopea 20. Oikein K ja lyhyt vasen täysmiinus sisältä 30. Lyhyt vasen nopea ja vasen täys 50. Lyhyt oikein nopea plus sisältä. Ja lyhyt vasen oikein K. Ja vasen oikein K 10, vasen K plus. Siis vasen K plus 50. Lyhyt vasen eri yli 30, lyhyt vasen nopea plus. Ja nyppy 30, lyhyt oikein nopea plus. Ja pitkä oikein K 50. Pitkä oikein K kirraa 30. Pitkä oikein eri kirraa nopea lopussa. Siis pitkä oikein eri kirraa nopea lopussa. 10, vasen nopea 30. Nyppy oikein täys ja vasen eri plus 50. Nyppy vasemmalta vähäsen täysillä 200. Nyppy täys 50. Piru pitkä oikein K plus. Ja nyppy 20 vasen nopea plus. Siis nyppy 20 vasen nopea plus. Pitkä oikea K plus lopussa 30, miinus oikea vasen ahdas sikaani. Siis miinus oikea vasen ahdas sikaani. Ja vasen nopea 50. Oikein täys 70. Vasen täys miinus, jatkuu nyppy 30. Vasen K, heti vasen eri plus yli 150. Pitkä oikein eri plus kirraa vähän 50. Oikein täys miinus 50. Nyppy vasellalta 30, lyhyt oikein nopea plus sisältä. Siis nyppy 30, lyhyt oikein nopea plus sisältä. 20, oikein K sisältä. Liukasta 20, oikein nopea plus älä. 30, oikein nopea. Jatkuu nyppy 20. Oikein nopea 30, takavino vasen. Siis oikein nopea 30, takavino vasen. 20. Ai saa. Lyhyt vaseri 20, oikein nopea 20. Oikein nopea 300. Jotain rikki meiltä. Lukko tai joku. Lyhyt vasen nopea plus 20, lyhyt oikein nopea risteys sisältä. Siis 20 oikein nopea sisältä, lyhyt. 150. Oikein nopea plus 70. Vasen eri kirraa lopussa ja nyt oikein K 50. Nyppy oikein täys 70, nyppy 50 alas, lyhyt oikein K 20, pitkä oikein nopea plus kirraa lopussa ahdas. Siis pitkä oikein nopea kirraa lopussa ahdas ja lyhyt vasen K älä 50. Vasen nopea ahdas silta lopussa, siis vasen nopea ahdas silta lopussa 50. Pitkä Ja oikea ripus yli 70. Nyppy täys, jatkuu oikea täys 30. Nyppy täys, jatkuu vasen täys miinus 150.
Welcome to the fourth round of the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship, the Ulster International Rally. A fast, furious event with 170 miles of perilous driving on the fast tarmac roads of Northern Ireland. Reigning British champions Alistair McRae and David Senior make their first appearance in an F2 car this season. Can Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davies clinch their first British championship here? In the next half hour, we'll be showing you all the drama and the action from the Stena Line Ulster International Rally. Starting on Friday afternoon, day one takes the cars over 6 closed road special stages in counties Down, Armagh and Tyrone. An early surprise. Mark Higgins, Evans' biggest challenge for the championship, would retire on the very first stage when he missed the gear and a broken cam belt followed.
We started the first stage and things are starting to go quite well, getting a good feeling for the car. And about junction sort of 5 coming down, I sort of missed a gear going down the box and it's rev fairly high and she stops, she won't go anymore. And it looks, well, it's definitely obviously terminal. And that's as far as we go, unfortunately.
So a bit disappointing to say the least.
Gutted. I mean, put a lot of work into this and been waiting for the tarmac. It was a chance to still have a go at the championship. And that's it, basically, you know. Go home, I suppose.
Making some unhealthy noises on the first stage at Kernan Lake is Tapio Laukkanen's VW Golf. The gearbox was failing fast, and though he nursed the car out of the stage, his rally was over and he was soon heading back to Finland. Seated at number 1, Alistair McRae was Laukkanen's new teammate for this rally. After only a small amount of experience of the car on the Donegal rally previously, Alistair and David Senior were showing that they meant business.
And crest and long medium left plus opens into long flat left into flat right 70.
Alistair, reigning British champion, first time behind the wheel of F2 since last year. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. We had a problem in that stage. There was actually 2 cows running down the road, so we had to slow down and let them out of the way. I don't know whether it'll affect the drivers behind or not, but we'll see.
Go on, just go, go. Just go, go.
So how did this arrangement come about for you to return to the championship for this round?
It was just through Volkswagen. They asked if I was interested in doing some testing, then doing the rally, and I said, yeah, we'll drive anything.
But there were problems afoot.
Right, could be the gearbox. Hairpin left, tightens and narrows. Just over a mile.
In fact, it was another gearbox problem, and McRae's rally was over. The usually ebullient VW team manager Steve Bagnall was not a happy man. The Renault team have also had their share of misfortunes this year, but things were looking better here. Despite nursing a sprained wrist after a racing incident the previous weekend, Robbie Head with Brian Thomas in the Renault Megane kit car made fastest time on the first stage and still led the rally after the second.
They're dropping like flies here. Alistair McRae's gone out now with some transmission problem and Mark Higgins with an engine problem. Why do you think this rally is so demanding so early on?
I'm not quite sure, Tony. Maybe you can tell me.
Back as Robbie's teammate for this one-off drive in the championship this year was former Group N world champion Alan O'Reilly.
Gauche 45 plus et 50. Pour à droite 45.
The man from Marseille was as impressive as ever, as Thierry Barjou called the bends. So how was everything on board the flying Renault?
Problème avec gearbox. Oh. Difficult. Mais sinon, the car, the shock absorber, the engine, fantastic.
Always a popular spectator event, the Ulster is the first rally of the year where the Irish stars meet the mainland contingent. Ireland's top rally driver Bertie Fisher and Rory Kennedy took the lead by stage 3 in their four-wheel drive Subaru Legacy. They couldn't score points for the British Championship, but they could extend their lead in the Irish series and win outright. Better known for his activities in the Subaru, Kenny McKinstry was driving in his home-prepared Escort RS 2000 in Ulster and going great guns over the lanes near his Banbridge home. Although the car lost the power steering at one point, it was holding a healthy 6th. From County Wexford in the Republic of Ireland came Eamon Boland in his Escort Cosworth. Although he started the rally slowly, he was soon climbing up the leaderboard and would be placed 4th overall by the end of the leg. Oh, and by the way, this isn't a hire car. So where, you may be wondering, was Gwyndaf Evans? In fact, he was the leading championship runner behind the four-wheel drive cars and the Renault Megans.
It's typical Ulster rally again, isn't it, you know? It's a very unpredictable event. We had the marshal slow us down on the first event for apparently some animals, but we didn't see any. But we certainly saw them on the second stage. We had a dog run loose down the track towards us, but that was one of these things, you know. But apart from that, the car and the team's working well, and obviously we're very happy. And Mark was our biggest threat to the championship, and, you know, I can't say I'm sorry, but unfortunate for him. He's retired, and obviously it's made us now only have to finish to win the championship.
An earlier championship threat to Gwyndaf was Jarmo Cutuletto, but through lack of funds he lost his drive on the Ulster to Scottish rally winner Harry Rovanpera. Driving the F2 Escort for the first time and on tarmac for the first rally of his life, the Finn was very, very impressive and getting quicker all the time. Last year's British junior champion Neil Weirden had been attacking the scenery.
We come to a medium right and immediately a square left, which is a 90-degree left. The call was a bit late from Rick. We've got a bit of a brake problem. Locked up the brakes and just went straight through a gate post into a barley field. So luckily we haven't damaged anything. We turned round in the field and came back out again.
Weirden was outside the top 10, but above him positions remained unchanged, with Bertie Fisher heading the pack.
And so to bed for a well-earned, if rather brief, overnight rest. 6 stages down, Bertie Fisher could sleep on a 24-second advantage over Robbie Head, in turn holding sway over teammate Alan O'Reilly. Behind, Eamon Boland and Gwyndaf Evans handily placed. The lion's share of the work, though, was still to be done. Saturday's second leg would take the drivers further inland around Armagh, Cookstown and Omagh.
As if the twisty, bumpy roads of Ulster were not enough, drivers have to contend with the most unearthly hours of work on this rally. No sooner had they got to bed in Belfast than they were off again at 4 a.m. and back on the black stuff. And it was a fairly rude awakening, an 11-mile stage out here in County Tyrone.
Ireland's leading light, Bertie Fisher, was first on the road. Victory already looking to be his for the taking, but Bertie taking nothing for granted. Robbie Head's ever-improving season saw him second off. Renault teammate Alan O'Reilly, in turn, was intent on closing the gap to the Scotsman. The leading contenders all made a clean getaway, apart from Finland's Olli Harki. It appeared he'd found time to take in a little of the scenery.
What have you been doing, Ollie?
We went a little bit off, but nothing serious.
So, how are you liking these Ulster roads? I believe it's your first time here on tarmac.
Yes, and it is my first tarmac rally also. And
really?
Yes, quite new experience, and we have to learn many new things.
At the head of the field, though, Bertie Fisher was in irresistible form. He continued to take chunks of time out of the chasing group with a flawless display. Well, almost.
What went wrong there, Bertie?
Just a momentary lapse of concentration, nothing more than that. But it happened at a very narrow place. So the back of the car got a bit wide, and there was, I think, a concrete post. And it obviously took the bumper off and knocked in the corner. We didn't lose any significant time with it, maybe 5 or 10 seconds.
No major mechanical damage?
No mechanical damage.
Fisher was right. His charge towards yet another win swept on.
Gauche à fond, 50 mètres. Gauche 120.
Popular Frenchman Alain Auray continued to look comfortably on the pace. But as he headed into the woods around Brantry, he was in for a big surprise. Excuse his French, but Alain wasn't an happy chappy.
Problem for you?
Yes, problem. Big clash.
We saw the car. What happened?
In the left corner, we have speaked 1 second too late the notes, and c'est trop tard.
Having taken the wrong line in stage 8, Alain will be taking the Stenner line home rather sooner than expected. Robbie Head's Renault certainly didn't need a tow rope. His Megane was bombing along. After Mark Higgins' early retirement, Turkey's Ercan Kazaz was left as sole provider for the Nissan team. Ercan's first taste of Irish tarmac hadn't started well. He'd been as low as 29th after the early stages.
So how does Irish tarmac compare with Turkish tarmac?
I mean, it's really totally different. Our tarmac is softer. Okay, we have the bumps as well, but it's not that deep. I mean, over here it's uncontrollable sometimes, and the speed is so high. I mean, you don't know where you're going sometimes.
As he got to grips with the unfamiliar surface, he began to climb back up the leaderboard, eventually settling for 11th overall. Ahead of him, Gwyndaf Evans was putting together another outstanding display. The Welshman, with his eyes on the British Championship, wasn't holding back. Gwyndaf was hoping for a helping hand in his title bid from Ford teammate Neil Simpson. He was aiming to try and secure second place in Formula 2. In the circumstances, that was proving to be rather a tall order.
We've had problems since yesterday. We've not had a clutch, basically, since last night, so we're going to have to continue the rest of the rally without a clutch, which means starting the stages on the ignition key, basically, and just being very careful not to overshoot junctions and have to use reverse gear because there is no reverse gear. We overshot a junction in one of the stages early on this morning, but because we've very under-braked, I'm afraid, is the car just at the minute, and we lost about a minute there, and we've just been in a ditch for another 40 or 50 seconds, so yeah, it's all happening.
On the second stage of the second day, the F2 positions changed. Jock Armstrong crashed his Nissan and Neil Weirden broke a drive shaft on his Peugeot. This is Jason Sharp with Ian Bevan in his Peugeot 306. They were well inside the top 20, 1 minute ahead of their nearest rival.
So how are you standing in the Peugeot class now then?
We're well ahead on this event, but I think we've won the Masters overall anyway now, because no one can catch us. We've been trying to take some time off just in Dale, but we had an engine failure on the Pirelli, and we suffered with punches on the Ypres event, so it's put us a long way behind. But if we can take some time out of him, it'll at least make us feel better.
Justin Dale and Andrew Bargery have had a tremendous season so far. Not only were they leading the Peugeot Juniors, but they were also lying an amazing second in the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Championship. They were enjoying the Ulster lanes and again well inside the top 20.
So it's getting a habit this, you're having another very good run here after the Scottish?
Yeah, we're pleased with how it's going today. The plan was coming here was to make sure we finished as well, but I said with a few people dropping out in front, we're actually moving up quite well.
In the Class A6 battle, David Higgins and Cliff Simmons had been leading by nearly a minute. With Swede Lars Goran Andersson missing the Ulster, Higgins was hoping to make good headway in the class championship and win it here as well.
But a big branch came through the window and up inside my helmet and gave me a bit of a knock on the head, and there was only the two of us here, so we actually had to lift the car back on the road ourselves, and we dropped a good few minutes, but we're still going and we'll still see if we can fight it back. And the next stage we went through was like a battlefield, so if we keep plodding along, we might be okay.
Back in the driving seat of the SW Motorsport Honda Civic, which Louise Aitken-Walker had driven on the Scottish Rally, Julian Reynolds was having a trouble-free event despite a gearbox change on stage 13 near Omagh.
So you're having quite a good run, Julian.
Yeah, we've been steady. We were slow yesterday, and then we tried speeding up a bit and overshot a few junctions and went up a hedge once, so we decided to back off a bit more today and just get through because it's a long day. And David was off on the first stage, so we're now leading the class.
So with that in mind, I mean, do you now start adjusting your pace to just keep there?
Definitely, and now we're starting to hear loads of things wrong with the car, little creaks, we're hearing everything now.
Oh, that's all in your imagination, you know.
I think so, yeah.
Steve Wedgbury and local man Ian Regan were up in second place in class. Their only real problem was a puncture on Saturday morning, but it was all go at the Granville service area.
So, what's happened here? Have you bent the back axle?
Yes, we went off on that last stage. Early on in the stage, we slid wide and hit the hedge hard, punctured the front tyre, so we had to change that as well. But we bent the back axle slightly, so the lads are going to change that for me now. But we lost about 3 minutes, which is not too bad.
In the event, all this frenzied activity was to no avail. The Skoda went out with a broken drive shaft on the penultimate stage of the rally. And this left Julian Reynolds and Paul Spooner with a clear win in Class A6 driving the Honda Civic, the pair scoring their first points in this year's championship. As we said in our Scottish rally report, Juuso Piccolisto is Finland's latest hot property, and the Finnish junior team manager Ilkka Kivimäki tips him for the very top. With spirited driving like this in his hired Vauxhall Astra, few would disagree.
Yeah, a little bit different what we have in Finland, but I like.
Have you driven on asphalt on tarmac before?
No, it's the first time I drive tarmac. First time.
At the beginning of this year's championship, organiser John Horton said that the new Finnish invasion would liven up the series. New stars like Piccolisto have certainly proved him right.
In order to prevent service cars cluttering up the roads, the organisers of the Ulster Rally have come up with a novel idea. They've created mini-service areas after every special stage. It all gets a little chaotic at times, but in fact it's working very well.
Signs designating a management car rendezvous area are erected just before the rally arrives. The so-called management service vehicles must be unmarked and no big vans are allowed in to tend to the rally cars. Only relatively minor servicing and fettling can go on as there is little available time and no major spare parts are on hand. Once the work has been done, the rally cars leave and a new set of service vehicles for later rally numbers slot into place. It certainly causes slightly less disturbance to other road users.
The Irish were full of good cheer on two fronts. Trevor Cathers was hoping to back up Bertie Fisher's overall domination by taking the honours in the tussle for Group N. As the rally headed towards Cathers' own stamping ground around Armagh, he managed to squeeze out valuable seconds from his nearest rival David Mann, only to see his Subaru stick in third gear. The Omar service was to turn into something of a pit stop as Cathers' mechanics tackled his ailing gearbox. It was a fascinating scene, and for Cathers, a spot of good fortune too. A major job like this could only be undertaken in one of the major service points, with the backup teams on hand. They made quick work of it, the whole gearbox replaced in just 8 minutes. But the problem had cost Cathers valuable time. His rival David Mann reeled the Irishman back to within a few seconds. The Group N battle was well and truly joined.
So where, in the Group N, whereabouts do you stand at the moment?
I'm still leading by 6 seconds from David Mann. He's still going very, very fast.
David Mann would be going all out to take full advantage of Cathers' misfortune. His Proton was making its debut on tarmac and standing up well to the new test. After Saturday's slow start, Mann and his Malaysian car were making headway.
You're having another very good run, David?
Yes, we're very pleased. First time we've driven the Proton on tarmac, so we weren't really sure what to expect. But Trevor Cathers is going well, and because we're on his home patch now, I think he lives around here, so it's very difficult.
And it's very, very tight at the moment, isn't it? With just 4 stages to go.
Yes, and I think he's 4 seconds ahead at the moment, and the roads are getting very bumpy now, so I think we're going to be struggling to beat him. I don't know if he lives on the next stage, but he honestly knows where he's going.
Mann was clearly concerned about Cathers' home advantage. He pushed hard, a little too hard. His charge came to a violent end with a high-speed roll 3 stages from home. Mann walked away, but his rally was finished. In the Ladies' Cup, York's Jenny Davis was hoping to score points aboard her Peugeot to close the gap on her 3 championship rivals. Jane Gunningham's challenge had to go on hold as she took her finals during the last round in Perth. The cramming done, the student from Western-super-Mare returned to the ups and downs of rallying behind the wheel of a Peugeot for the Ulster event and was going well. But the Simonite sisters were once again proving virtually untouchable among the ladies' new generation.
Left 4 over crest and right 5 opens.
Heavy testing aboard the Works Ford prior to Ulster appeared to be paying off. They walked away with the latest section, more importantly grabbing an excellent 12th place overall, their best result to date. But most eyes were on Gwyndaf Evans, a winner in Ulster before. He and Howard Davis were on course for a bigger prize. The British title was in their sights.
150, caution, leftish of a yumpy crest, get 50 through dip. Flat rightish of a crest, and slot flat left. Slot flat left, and flat right to stop.
Evans and Davis have become a first-class double act. As the rally headed towards its finale, they look to have the Formula 2 crown in the back.
Everything's still going just as you'd like it, Gwyndaf?
Yeah, we had a bit of a throat this morning, though. The car was leaking oil from a pipe, and it took a couple of stages to sort it out, actually, and it got us very, very worried, because obviously we only need to finish now to do very well in the championship. And luckily, though, the boys did a good job again, as usual, and sorted it out for me.
Robbie Head's season has been going from strength to strength. He'd made great strides aboard his Renault. Here, alongside co-driver Brian Thomas, he grabbed the 2-litre lead early on and never looked like letting go.
120. Right 1 over crest, caution kink, left 4, right 5. Bridge. Left 4, 50, turn long, left 7. 70. Right 2 over crest.
For Head and Thomas, a Formula win and second place overall. Quite a triumph. Months of effort by the Renault team was at last bearing fruit. But away from two-wheel drive, the spotlight was on Ulsterman Bertie Fisher once again. It was his 17th international rally victory and enough to clinch a record 4th Ulster win. Not a bad weekend's work.
Yeah, we had a very good run. We had a bit of a slow start, and then we had a little problem this morning. Didn't really cost any time, but maybe knocked my confidence a little bit. I wasn't concentrating as I should have been, but from then on it's been fine, you know, no problem.
Fantastic. Well done again. Brilliant.
For 37-year-old Gwyndaf Evans, though, a long-awaited dream was about to be fulfilled. His widely respected talents about to be rewarded. First place in Formula 2 would give the Welshman an uncatchable championship lead.
50, straight of a yumpy crest, 50. 6 left sharp.
As Evans and Davis headed for home, the closing stages were to turn into a victory procession.
7 left. 7 left. 4 right. 30 of a kink. 3 left and right. Into flat left 100. Left 100. Slot 9 left. Slot 9 left. 150 to stop. Okay.
Another textbook run, Gwyndaf?
Yeah, absolutely. A credit to the whole Golden Spoon engineering team, Michelin tyres, Response, Ford, and everybody that worked so hard during the season to achieve this result.
So how does it feel now then at this moment?
Absolutely great.
And so the outcome in Ulster 96 looked like this. As widely predicted, Bertie Fisher stole the show again. Robbie Head came home in a superb second overall. Gwyndaf Evans third. McKinstry and Cathers made sure of a strong Irish presence on the leaderboard. As for the British Championship runners in Ireland, Gwyndaf Evans came home at the head of the title chasers, enough to make his championship lead unassailable. With one event to go, he's become the new British champion. Ford teammate Neil Simpson helped keep his challengers at bay. Which all leaves the championship looking like this. Evans the champion, some distance behind, Justin Dale, Ejan Kazaz, Neil Simpson and Sharp, Simonite and Puhaka sharing 5th. Now the drivers can look forward to the final event on the championship calendar, the world-renowned Manx Rally on the Isle of Man. As for the man of the moment, it was time for the champagne to flow for the new British champion, Gwyndaf Evans.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Rightish for crest, 30. Slot hairpin left, keep in. Flat right long, continues with a crest, 30. Slot tight 9 right. Narrows, chip ins. right through dip. And flat of a crest, 120. 120. Flat left into rightish of a crest, immediate 4 left. To flat right, 70. 6 right sharp. 6 right sharp and slot tight, 9 left. Chip ins back. Flat right, keep in. Twist flat right and left, 30. Flat right, 50. Keep right for twist 3 left and right. Into flat right and 3 left sharp, air, 70. Flat right, 100. Middle of a yumpy crest, 170. Leftish of a crest and flat right of a crest. Flat right of a crest. To flat of a crest, 70 of a kink. Leftish of a jump, immediate twist, 3 right and left. 3 right and left, 70. Flat left long, 100. Keep right for flat left of a jump, 170. Keep right for slot 7 left, immediately after the crest. 100. 6 left. 8 left, downhill, damp. Left. Flat right long, into flat left long, 120. 120. 4 right sharp. 4 right sharp. 70. Flat left, 50. Right entry, 8 left. Keep in. Right entry, 8 left. Keep in. 3 right, very long, sudden slot, 9 right. Long, sudden slot, 9 right. 400. Right to the very far end. Right to the far end. Slot tight, 9 left, narrows. 30 over kink. Flat left. And flat right long over crest. To twist 3 right and left sharp over crest. 30 over kink, slot 9 right in over crest. 3 right and left. Air 4 right long. And 4 left. 4 left. 70 over kinks. Air 4 left. Immediate 6 left sharp for bridge. 6 left sharp for bridge. 100. Slot 9 right, slippy. 30. Keep right for caution, leftish of a bad yumpy crest, slow. 30. Flat right, 70. 4 right care by fence. 50 over bump. 7 flat left into a right entry, hairpin left. Flat left into right entry, hairpin left, chip ins. 200. 200. Late flat rightish of a crest, 100. Middle of a bad yumpy crest, care, 100. Slot 9 left. Slot 9 left. 3 right. 3 left of a crest, chip ins. 200 of a bumps and kink to far end. Right to the far end. Flat right and care, 3 left tightens. Flat right, care, 3 left tightens. 70. 100. Air 6 right. Air 6 right. And air 6 left sharp. 6 left sharp. And 4 right of a crest, 30. 7 left. 7 left. 4 right. 30 of a king. 3 left and right. Into flat left, 100. 100. Slot 9 left. Slot 9 left. 150 to stop. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Well, yeah, good, very good rally.
Right 5 of the crest and jump continues to clear. Left 5 past house.
Welcome to the 5th and final round of the 1996 Mobil 1 Top Gear British Rally Championship. Held on the Isle of Man, the 3-day event includes no less than 235 miles of fast, furious special stages. Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davies are already the new British Rally champions in their Works Ford Escort RS 2000. Germany's World Rally star Armin Schwartz, on his first visit to the Isle of Man, leads a star-studded cast of players. Follow all the excitement and drama in the next half hour from the Manx International Rally. 30 special stages over the island's fast undulating tarmac roads make this the fastest rally in the championship. But before the rally began, the public were able to meet the drivers at an autograph signing session in the centre of Douglas. Leading the cars away from the famous TT grandstand was Armin Schwartz in the Works Toyota Celica. Gwyndaf Evans was the next to start the short stage, which included part of the TT circuit itself. Depending which way you look at it, 1994 Austrian champion Kurt Gottlicher could be driving one of 2 cars. Is it a red car or a white one? First fin along was Harry Rovanpera, having his second outing in an Escort RS 2000. There were champions galore on this rally. This is Russian champion Alexander Potapov in his ProDrive prepared Subaru Impreza. And this year's Irish tarmac champion Bertie Fisher, a definite favourite to win. After his 2-litre win on the previous rally in Ulster, great things were expected of Robbie Head in the Renault Megane.
Flat right 2, opens 100.
But it would be a short rally for Head, with former Manx winner Brian Thomas alongside him.
Opens 300. Hang on, I got no shroud the window.
The car was fantastic. We were confident. I knew we could do well, and I was just trying hard. I mean, it's one of these things, but we'll fight another day.
Ireland's top rally driver has won 17 international events, but a win on the Manx International has so far eluded Bertie Fisher. He and Rory Kennedy set fastest time on the first 2 stages, determined to beat that jinx. Unfamiliar with the island, Armin Schwartz and Dennis Giraudet felt that 3 days wrecking was not enough to let them give maximum attack. Nevertheless, they were within a second of Fisher after 5 stages, but claimed to be settling in. Maintaining third overall with little pressure now that the championship had been won were Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davies in the F2 Escort. They would not be able to score championship points and were on something of a test run.
So what's your approach to this rally?
Just come here to enjoy ourselves, really, and obviously learn a bit on the car for next year. We've got the development kit engine in the Ford RS 2000, and we're here to hopefully learn for next year.
The Renault Meganes have improved steadily all year. With Robbie Head's demise, Renault's fortunes were now in the hands of Serge Jourdan. On his first trip to the island, he was holding fourth. Heading the championship challenge were Mark Higgins and Phil Mills in the Nissan Sunny. They were Nissan's sole representatives on this rally, as Turkish driver Ercan Kazaz had non-started for alleged financial reasons.
And right 5, and left 4 long opens fast.
After a bad year in 1995 with Peugeot and no competitive drive at all so far this year, Manxman Martin Rowe was relishing his works drive with Volkswagen. VW had had a disastrous Ulster rally the month before.
It was our gearbox problem that had been dogging us for the year, but hopefully we're now running these two cars now on a mixture of gearboxes, so we hope we got it right.
And everything seemed all right in the VW camp this time, with regular driver Tapio Laukkanen at his brilliant best. But on stage 5, he struck a problem. Indeed, the old problem, the loss of fifth gear on the stage between Laxey and Onken.
I'm quite happy about my driving, but now we broke the gearbox and we have to change it. We lost maybe 1 minute on the last stage, that's all.
With the new gearbox installed, Tapio set off in fine fettle on stage 6. Until this. Co-driver Risto Manison-Mackie was relegated to the rear of the car to balance it, and they dropped to 48th. Harry Rovanperä and Juha Repo were lying third among the F2 runners in their Ford Escort and starting to speed up over the magnificent Manx lanes. It was their first visit to the island and they were enjoying the scenery. On stage 6, they were about to see more of it.
Place, it seems to be very slippery. Actually, we have it that also in our notes that it's slippery, but there was a lot of loose sand or something like that on the place, and we hit this wall or something like that in the right-hand corner, and then it broke the brake caliper, and then that's why we couldn't continue.
Last year's Group N winner Trevor Cathers has again been a big name in the Group N Production Cup, but his battle for honours with Ollie Harkey was to come to a sudden and dramatic end. Harkey also had his problems. A puncture led to complications and lost time. Unlike Cathers, though, Harkey at least managed to stay on the road.
You're still possibly leading the Group N because Trevor Cathers has a problem.
Yes, I think so, that we have still possibilities to win that category.
So you can repair it okay now?
Yes, I think so.
So what position are you lying overall?
I have no idea.
In fact, he'd plummeted to last place, but with Cathers now out of the running, he need only finish to claim the cup. The Manx Rally is truly a cosmopolitan affair. The appearance of the Russian Alexander Potapov was testimony to that. He got off on the wrong foot by allegedly missing a loop on the opening spectator stage, but given the benefit of the doubt, he was then never out of the top 10.
This road is very difficult, and I think when we go
the next
time,
and the next year.
Next year.
Better.
Possible we're better.
Meanwhile, Armin Schwartz was getting to grips with the unfamiliar bump and grind of the Manx Rally's unique island roads. As the first leg headed to its conclusion, the German star was still having to play second fiddle to Irishman Bertie Fisher. Although the relatively short first leg was hardly going to decide the event, the Ulsterman was still doing his best to unsettle his rival. He saved the best till the last stage of the day, a full 20 seconds quicker through Kringle.
So, the end of the first day after 55 fast and furious stage miles. But it's really only a taste of what's to come. For tomorrow, there are 117 stage miles, the length and breadth of the island. The rally's only just started.
And so, with one leg down and 2 to go, Bertie Fisher, the overall leader from Armin Schwartz. Serge Jourdain in third and heading the 2-litre class. Then British champion Gwyndaf Evans, followed by Manxman Mark Higgins. Maybe Friday the 13th was a day to stay in bed. Bertie Fisher may later have wished he had. His nearest rival, Armin Schwartz, was off to a flying start. Gwyndaf Evans was intent on catching Frenchman Serge Jourdain. It wouldn't take long.
Droite à fond, et passe gauche 100. Et droite sans bosse. Et passe à fond saute léger.
Sadly for Serge, a promising challenge petered out. A mile into the day's first stage, his drive shaft broke.
150 mètres. La transmission. Gauche 80 encore pour à droite 40. Transmission déboîtée.
The Renault's rally was run. No such problems for the others at the head of the pack, though. Bertie Fischer rolled safely into service. Again, he was forcing the pace from the second-placed Armin Schwartz.
A nice lead of 26 seconds. Are you happy with that at the moment?
Well, yes, obviously better to be 26 in front and 26 behind, that's for sure. But you know, it's by no means a big lead, but it's probably a bigger lead than we expected we would have with someone like Armin Schwartz, you know.
We didn't know, we haven't done any mistake, and everything went like before, and we lost 20 seconds, but I don't know where.
Anyway, you're in good shape for today. Are you enjoying it?
Yes, of course.
He wasn't the only one. Born on the island, Mark Higgins had something of an advantage over the rest. He was using his local knowledge to full effect and holding the Formula 2 lead. Neil Simpson has had a mixed year, but the Manx was looking like his best drive yet. The early signs for his escort encouraging. Like many of the drivers, Simpson experienced his fair share of dramas during the rally, the Manx as ever living up to its punishing reputation.
I'd love to be second in the British Championship and give Ford a 1-2, that'd be excellent. But Mark's really flying here, it's his home territory, so I'm struggling to catch him.
I think we can still actually finish second in the championship. Now, Neil Simpson seems to be the one that's sort of closest to us as well. So we'll see how things go, but everybody's dropped out again. A load have gone this morning. A long way to go, you know, we can win it yet.
Several weeks before the rally, we'd joined the Nissan team in Southern Ireland as they prepared for the particular demands of the tarmac surface on the Manx. The all-important tyres hand-cut, suspension and brakes all subjected to rigorous testing. It's a time-consuming but nonetheless essential part of the business. Then it was off to the Isle of Man test stage. Our own Tony Mason was there for a particularly close look.
And you've been doing a bit of development, have you, this morning?
Yeah, I've changed the suspension setting slightly, so it seems to be working a little bit better now. So hopefully it should be right for tomorrow.
Hopefully it'll be right for today, that's right.
The test stage took cars up the notoriously bumpy Druidale stage to Brandywell Cottage and on down to Sartfield. As often happens, there was mist on the top for the drivers to contend with. I was more concerned with reading the notes.
Right, left, right.
Now come the big jumps here.
Well, hang on then. Oh, yeah. Whoa, that was right up in the air.
Very quick section now.
Very fast, what sort of speed you did it now?
Got about 120 now, just a little break there. Then back on the power, it'll take off a little bit. Slide out again, bit of a jump here, it's quite nasty.
Well, that was very impressive, good man. The only trouble is I couldn't actually read the notes because I was moving about so much. Oh, no, you want me ticket? Dear with.
Back in the rally, the leader, Bertie Fischer, was in trouble. The Impreza went onto 3 cylinders after some loose metal damaged the plug. He was out, and Armin Schwartz swept into the lead in the Toyota. Evans' development engine was really producing the goods, if a little noisily. He had now inherited second place, just a minute and a quarter behind Schwartz. On stage 4, he'd actually equalled the Toyota's time and was obviously enjoying the extra power.
I thought you were out here for a little development run with this car and a bit of testing. You're lying second overall.
Yeah, well, that's a big bonus, isn't it, you know? But we are learning with the car, and, you know, it's a development. It's an interim stage of the car for next year. We'll hopefully have a bit more power again next year, so look out, is it?
On the 14th stage on the west of the island, north of Peel, Evans actually set fastest time overall, a second quicker than Schwartz.
3 left, opens McCrest 70, 8 right. 8 right. Late 6 left of McCrest and 3 right. 30, open 4 left long, 100. And 4 left long, 100. Oh. What's that, Mush? Qualid.
The man who never wears driving gloves had excelled again, but things looked bad.
Gwyndav, sitting on the stop line of the last stage, we think the engine's gone bang.
It was a good development trip and we've learned, so we go back and try and put things right.
Gwyndaff was saying the car was much faster. Could you feel it from the co-driver's side?
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot more power in the car. Obviously, as Gwyndaff said, it's a development trip and we need to go back to the drawing board to do a bit more development for next year, but certainly it's going to make next year look a lot more exciting. I can't wait.
Ford had fitted the more powerful engine from Gwyndaff Evans' championship-winning Escort into the car of Neil Simpson and Steve Martin. Simpson was using the power to the full and executed the Sarkfield hairpin perfectly, but trouble was not far down the road.
We went off in the last stage into a river, and I had to run down the river about 100 yards to get Neil back out to the Ford. We were able to go down the river for about 100, 150 yards.
What, you mean you had to get out?
I had to get out first to assess how deep it was and run down in front of the car. I'm absolutely wet through, so...
Well, then he just drove behind you?
He drove behind us in the car, yeah.
Despite it being Friday the 13th, and this being stage 13, luck was with the Northerners and they were still in the rally. But their good fortune wasn't to last. The engine started to miss.
We think the engine's gone, the engine's blown. Not the last stage, the stage before it got very hot. And we managed to cool it, slowed down in the stage and put the fans on and it cooled the engine. But this last stage, it's been running on 3 cylinders and there's a knocking noise now, so...
Oh, that's bad luck.
Terrible.
And this left Yorkshire's Simonite sisters as the sole Ford works car. Having won the British Ladies' Championship, Stephanie and Rachel were just outside the top 10. Noisily climbing his way up the leaderboard was Austrian Kurt Gutlicker in his Mike Taylor-prepared Escort Cosworth. He was up in 3rd place, an impressive Manx debut.
What do you think of the Manx roads?
Oh, I tell yesterday, you have only 2 chances here. You like it or you hate it. You come again or you never come again. Till now, I like it.
For such a tiny island, the Isle of Man does seem to have a knack for producing talented rally drivers. The place is teeming with them.
The Higgins family spans 3 generations. There's Mark and David, Mum and Dad, Tony and Christina, and Grandma and Grandpa, former stars Evelyn and Ken Leese. David Higgins in the Asquith Honda was having a good rally up in the top 10 by the end of day 2.
David, you're the baby of the family, so to speak. When did you first get involved in rallying?
As long as I remember, I was in a pram watching rallies with Mum and Dad competing and grandparents, so right from the word go. But I actually done my first rally at 16 years old in a road rally in a Mark II Escort.
Tony and Christina were in a Group N Civic and leading their class with ease.
We've decided at the moment just sort of come back and join in rather than be watching these 2 all the time.
What's made you come back and compete again this year?
I think the boys were quite keen for us to do it, and they sort of half organised the drive for us, and it just seemed to happen. And at the beginning I said, well, I wasn't going to co-drive. And then they all said, oh yeah, you've got to do it as well. So it was a change to wear the overalls instead of washing them.
Another Manx husband and wife team going really well were Nigel and Michaela Cannell in their Astra.
Not only are you leading your class, but you're also leading the Group N entirely.
Yeah, that's right. We seem to be, or everybody else has fallen out. I don't know whether it's us going fast or them going slow.
How quickly is he driving?
It's not bad. He's still got a bit more pace yet.
You reckon?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Very much on the pace was another Manxman, Martin Rowe. He and Nicky Beach were up in 4th place in the VW Golf. After his layoff, he was driving quickly but sensibly. In the Isle of Man, you can take your driving test when you're 16. Rob Watson has, therefore, been driving 3 years. He's one of the newest stars and was up in the top 20.
Why do you think there's such strong interest here in the Isle of Man in rallying and so many drivers?
So competitive. All the Manx drivers, they're so competitive against each other, and it's always battles between all the Manx boys. Yeah, I think that's the main reason.
The former Manx motocross and trials champion, Peter Christian, is an old hand at this rally and was having another good run in his Ford RS 2000. At the end of day 2, he and co-driver Peter Biggs were also in the top 20. And the newest Manx driver of the lot, Kevin Curran from Castletown.
I'm 6 months vintage, I am. Just 6 months, yes.
So, coming over here to the Isle of Man with all these amazing drivers, do you think it might improve your driving a bit?
Well, I'm not a tarmac man, but I've no choice at the moment, so hopefully it's going to improve my ability on this stuff, you know.
The cheerful incomer to the island was having a good event and really getting to know the roads. But his Escort Cosworth would retire on stage 17 at Selby Glen when the gearbox gave up the ghost. The Manx International wouldn't be complete without the famous Castletown stage, which runs round the harbour and through the town, a sort of mini Monaco. It's a great spectator stage, and if you want to see a rally at close quarters, this is the place to be.
Mark Higgins could almost drive these rows with his eyes shut. Nightfall wasn't about to hold him up. Kurt Goodlicker might make a decent footballer. He certainly found the net quickly enough. Martin Rowe's first time out and the Volkswagen continued to go with a swing. Jock Armstrong wasn't far behind in the Formula 2 chase. The name of Higgins was a dominant feature too, Mark's brother David doing very nicely. The island awoke to warm Saturday sunshine. Mark Higgins and Phil Mills continued to set a scorching pace at the head of the Formula 2 field.
Going right over crest, OK, right 5 at sign, 50 cut left, right 4 around Bale, and left 4 exit. 50, left 6, 60, left 6, 50, right 5 long, into bump, keep left, then left 4 plus, late over crest. Then right 4 plus, opens at 70, 40, turn left 1.
Everything looked to be going smoothly enough. Then 2 miles into the stage, they hit trouble.
What are you doing walking down here?
The clutch is actually gone, so we needed to push off the finish line just to get down to the emergency vehicle down there, so they're going to see if they can fix the clutch now.
Have you got time to do that?
We've got about 8 minutes, I think, so we'll see what we can do.
In fact, they didn't quite make it. Higgins was forced to go on clutchless. He carried on regardless through the next stage. Relieved to be through it, the St John's service offered the chance of some much-needed first aid.
How much time have you got for this job here?
We've got about 18 minutes, so they think they can nearly do it in that. It's going to be very tight, but we've got a big gap behind, so we can afford to lose road penalties anyway.
Right. Oh, well, let's hope it all goes well.
Yeah, the drama never stops on this event, does it?
Chuck Armstrong would probably agree. It looks like someone forgot to close the boot. A bit of a drag, but he still managed to retain second to Higgins in Formula 2.
Now then, what have you do? Up to your old tricks again?
Well, catches out now and again, just at like a 90 left hairpin round a bale. There's some gravel there that wasn't there yesterday on the stage, so obviously the car slid a bit wider. Just clipped the post on the way out, so it slows you down a lot when the tailgate goes up, so I'll maybe get them to pop rivet the tailgate down or something like that.
Meanwhile, Mark and the mechanics worked wonders. Higgins was back on course. Unconcerned by the trials and tribulations of the chasers, overall leader Armin Schwartz was still out on his own. As the rally completed its final loop around the island, Schwartz entertained the crowd and extended his lead almost stage by stage. Martin Rowe continued to steer his GTI in the direction of an excellent top 4 finish. A little way back, Finnish teammate Tapio Laukkanen was driving his Golf towards a 2-car completion for Volkswagen. Forced to concede the latest title to Stephanie Simonite, 22-year-old Jane Gunningham was still working hard to secure a good finish to the season, and of course do her bit to further the Peugeot cause too. David Higgins was making sure that the Manx Rally was turned into truly a family affair. Like brother Mark and mum and dad too, he claimed a class victory, a remarkable achievement. His drive shaft broken, Jock Armstrong had to be pushed, first by Alexander Popatov, then by an understandably impatient David Higgins. Amid angry protests from the drivers held up through the Curragh stage, Armstrong was later excluded.
Push him out the way. Go on!
Armin Schwartz, though, was able to rise above the squabbling. Driving impeccably, the German swept home to victory.
Congratulations, Armin. A perfect drive.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be here, yeah.
For Mark Higgins, victory in Formula 2 and second overall.
Congratulations, well done, Mark. Great drive.
No, I'm delighted. It's just been one of those years, and it's nice to finish on a high note for us like this. And I think as much as anything, the team deserves this because they've worked so hard, and it's just great to be able to pay them back with something.
The final Isle of Man standings then, Armin Schwartz the overall winner, then Higgins and Guttlicher. So after 5 gruelling championship rounds, it was finally clear who'd emerged top of their class. As for the manufacturers' standings, Ford finished top of the pile, then Nissan and Volkswagen. In the Mobil 1 Top Gear British Championship, the brothers Higgins 2nd and 5th, the sisters Simonite 4th. Justin Dale a fine 3rd, but confirmation that Gwyndaf Evans and Howard Davis, the 1996 winners. Roll on 97. We'll leave you on board with the champions in action. See you next year.
Flat left long into flat right long, Titan 70. 3 right of a jump into 3 right and left of a bad jump, 3 right and left of a bump, 50, late 3 right sharp, 70 of a king, 3 right into 9 right long, into 9 right long, and tight 9 left, tight 9 left. 3 right and left, and twist 3 right and left, 50 of a king, there 3 right of a crest, and flat left of a yumpy crest, 50, 3 right very long, keep in, sign 50, slot hairpin left. 70, flat right and left 50, care 3 right 30, flat right of a crest 120, 4 right and straight to a jump, and 8 left, and 9 right, and 4 left, opens of a crest, and twist 3 left and right, 3 left and right, and 4 left, very long.
Right 6 in and left 6. 130, turn left 4 plus. 70, left 6, long, 100, house, right 2. 70, over crest, max right long, 80, cut right, left 3 onto bridge, then left 3 plus long, tightens, 70, gap, and right 3 around castle, and right 5 long, 50, cut right, then left 2 around monument, 40, right 4 plus and right 4, then max right, 50, max left, 80, max left long okay, then right 6 long and right 3 early. And left 2 plus, 350, over finish, left 6 long into chicane, left entry. 5 plus in, 250. Right 6, 250. Right 6, 80. Right 4 plus 90. Turn left 2 at third reflector on left. Then keep right of the grid. Then max right, 250. Left 4 long, then care, cut left, right 2 around Bale.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
50. Max left, long, long, then right 2, 30, left 2. Then left 6, 50. Cut left, max right of a crest, max left, 40, right 6 long, 70, right 5 fast of a crest to max left long, 60, right 2 plus. And left 2, tight, 70. Max crest, right-ish, 70. Right 2 tightens, into left 2. 30. Max crest long, then right 2. Then left 5 into right 4 plus. Max crest and cut right, left 6 long and right 6, 60, turn left 2 into right 1, handbrake. And left 4 plus, 70.